witches and wizards of the world. This is the Hogwarts Chaplain coming to you from the Room of Requirement, broadcasting across the globe on the WWN, the Word and Wizard Network. My friends, as is his wont, the current Muggle president has sent swarms of mosquitoes into the world in the last few days, and we have been trying to capture them and consider them and see if there are any real policies in them. Over the last few days, we've seen mosquitoes about healthcare policy, immigration policy, Arnold Schwarzenegger being a loser. But among the most outrageous would be not one, not two, but 3 mosquitoes sent last Saturday morning, just after 6:30 in the morning. So it was just after noonday prayers at Hogwarts that I picked up the Muggle press and saw the mosquitoes about the former Muggle president, the Honorable Barack Obama. But the current Muggle president in those mosquitoes accused Mr. Obama of illegally wiretapping him and his campaign. My friends, that is a high crime. It is a felony in America. It would send one to Azkaban, potentially for years. He said not one, not 2, but 3 mosquitoes with this claim. Is there any evidence? No, my friends. No evidence has been produced. It's been a few days now. Experts have been consulted of both political parties. No one has any idea why the current Muggle president is trying to character assassinate his predecessor. But though it is tempting to focus on these mosquitoes and the WWN, as we have said before, we believe it is the strategy of the current administration to distract people with mosquitoes. And it is tempting to take these ones about the former president and to challenge them and to focus on their outrageous and illegal attack on his character. It is libel, my friends. But we will not at this network be so distracted. We will put aside our justifiable outrage, and we will instead focus on the last few days and what policies are being planned and put into place, while so many people are focused on the outrageous swarms of lies that come 140 characters per mosquito. The policy that we're going to focus on today, one might say the conviction of the current Muggle president we are going to consider today, is this phrase, America first. The current Muggle president used this phrase as a candidate to become president, and he used it in his short inauguration speech. It was the central message of his inauguration speech. And last week, in his speech to a joint session of Congress, he focused on this idea, America first, as the guiding light in matters of immigration, or in budgeting, or in any other policy, whether it be health policy or educational policy. The idea is, no matter what, he said, America first. Now, this particular phrase has a dark history. It is not the creation of the current Muggle president. Some of you may know that it was back in the 1930s and 1940s, there were a group of powerful and well-connected Americans who were very upset at the lives lost in the First World War. They were isolationists. They were not interested in international concerns. So they wanted to stay out of any other world wars. They formed a group called the America First Committee. They were a kind of political party, a kind of a think tank, and they had famous members, hundreds of thousands of people, including people like Henry Ford, or Walt Disney, or Charles Lindbergh. And these people traveled all across the country and on the radio waves telling people, America first. Of course, sadly, most of those people were also deeply anti-Semitic. And they saw the entrance into the Second World War as giving Jewish people what they wanted, that there was some agenda of the Jewish people to drag other nations into their defense. My friends, after the Second World War, this group of people slowly stopped using the phrase, and many people may have thought the America First movement, which was nothing more than a fig leaf to cover the isolationism and worse, anti-Semitism of so many people thought that group faded away. But in the year 2000, a Muggle named Pat Buchanan was running for president in the Republican Party. And he decided to revive the phrase America First. It became the slogan for his campaign. But what is perhaps more interesting is back then, in the year 2000, a certain real estate developer in New York hated the phrase America First And he attacked Pat Buchanan for being anti-Semitic. He called the America First slogan anti-Semitic. In fact, this particular Manhattan real estate developer said in multiple interviews that he thought Pat Buchanan was a Hitler lover because he used the phrase America First. Well, that real estate developer is now the current Muggle president. So, my friends, if it is his defense that the phrase America First is new, he is lying. If he does not remember that in the year 2000 he found it anti-Semitic and people that used it Hitler lovers, if he has forgotten that, he has a serious memory problem. If you are a witch or a wizard, this phrase America First reminds you of lessons we learned in our magical community. Many witches and wizards will remember the damage done by the phrase wizards first. To get at this history, my friends, let us consider a statue during the childhood of Harry Potter that stood in the Ministry of Magic. A beautiful statue, they said at the time, and it was called the Fountain of Magical Brethern. You'll remember, and I was able to find a picture in the Hogwarts library, so if you can't remember, here you go. Lumos. You will remember that it was a tall gold, well, let me not describe it. Let's go directly to the words of the great Professor Rowling, who describes this statue this way. A group of golden statues, larger than life, stood in the middle of a circular pool. Tallest of them was a noble-looking wizard, his wand pointing straight up into the air. Grouped around him were a beautiful witch, a centaur, a goblin, and a house elf. The last three were all looking adoringly up at the wizard and the witch. Sounds nice enough. I mean, look at it, my friends. A beautiful golden statue. In fact, in the bottom of the statue, it said any money thrown into it was sent straight to St. Mungo's Hospital. What a lovely idea. Well, you remember that sadly there was a battle in this very atrium where Voldemort met Dumbledore, and it destroyed most of the atrium, and it destroyed this statue. But not long after that battle, the ministry itself was taken over by followers of Voldemort. You remember those dark times, my friends? And when the ministry had become fully corrupt, they built a new statue, this one. It did not have golden wizards or witches and other creatures like centaurs or house elves. If you look up at the top of this tall, imposing statue, there was on the top 2 thrones with a witch and a wizard seated. They were not like the first statue, wizards pointing up with their wands, identifying something beyond themselves, some common good. No, my friends, in this new statue, there were simply thrones, and the wizard and witch sat atop and looked down. Down upon what? Well, firstly, the new motto of the corrupted ministry, which was, yes, magic is might. Harry first looked at this statue and then looked around for the goblins or the house elves. And he looked down to the bottom of this tall, imposing statue and saw at the bottom kind of piles of carvings or etchings. He wasn't quite sure. He decided to get a little closer. So let's do that ourselves. Yes, my friends, when Harry got up close, he could see that it was actually human beings underneath this heavy statue. Men and women and children. What did they have in common? These were muggles. There aren't any other creatures even part of the statue anymore. It is, in fact, non-magical people who are struggling under the oppression, who are holding up the thrones of the witch and the wizard. They are oppressed. They are forgotten. They are enslaved. This was the new statue that demonstrated the new motto and the new way of life in the wizard's first world. Now, my friends, you may say to yourself, how did we go from that first lovely statue to this horrible statue? In fact, let's make this statue go away. How could you get from here? How could you possibly find yourself in a society that would put other human beings under the throne of the magical people? Well, Dumbledore said that these two statues were actually more connected than you might think. In fact, when he's talking to Harry Potter, he tries to explain to Harry that there was something very wrong with that first statue that led directly to the second statue. He was saying that you have to love and recognize the humanity of all other creatures and not be indifferent to them. Here is the direct quote: "Indifference and neglect often do much more damage than outright dislike. That fountain we destroyed tonight told a lie. We wizards have mistreated and abused our fellows for too long, and we are now reaping our reward." Yes, my friends, it was the great wisdom of Albus Dumbledore that the reason you wind up saying magic is might and enslaving other people, other human beings, that is a process. Dehumanization, according to Dumbledore, is a process. And that first statue, though it was beautiful with smiling faces, depicted a caste system where wizards and witches were on top, where other creatures looked up at them, in the service of them. They appeared to be enjoying their subordinate role, and people walked by this statue every single day, which normalized that kind of bigotry. And Dumbledore said it was only a matter of time for that which we had made normal, we would make might. Lastly, my friends, if you thought America first reminded you of wizards first, well, the whole idea must remind you, if you know it, of a passage in the New Testament where the great Jesus, Wizard of Nazareth, was asked by his own followers, who of us is first? They actually asked the question, who is first? Jesus' answer to them was this. Jesus called to them and said, "You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones are tyrants over them. But it will not be so among you who are my followers. But whoever wishes to be great among you must be your servant. And whoever wishes to be first among you must be your slave. Just as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve and to give his life for many." My friends, here the wisdom is the same as Dumbledore. It is the same as history. Those who seek to be first put other people under the stone of their statues and mottos. Wanting to be first means other people will be last, will be underneath, will be underclass, will be undervalued. It is a path to dehumanization, my friends. That is the lesson from the wizarding world and from the New Testament. There's nothing wrong with loving your country or loving your kin. What is wrong is when you want to be ahead of other people. So take the message of the broadcast today, my friends, from Dumbledore or from Jesus or from history. Look around you and find those who are last and least and put their needs before your own. As Jesus said, "He who seeks to save his life will lose it, but he who seeks to lose his life in the pursuit and love of others, he who seeks to lose his life for my sake," Jesus says, "will find his life." There is abundant life and freedom, my friends, not in enslaving other people, because that will enslave you. The freedom is in freeing other people, putting people before your own needs, before your own life. Just as Harry did when he said in the dark forest, "I am ready to die, not in battle for myself, but for others." My friends, being least is not the same as being a loser. That's what our current Muggle president does not understand. The least are not the losers. The least are the free because they seek the freedom of others. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time on the WWN, the Word and Wizard Network. And until then, be a seeker.